Let's go.
What a lovely day!
Andy, there's a whole world out there. Jump in.
Can you dig it?
Yeah.
You must always pay strict attention.
I was just completely enamored by it the entire time.
Dude, he did not have to go that hard.
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
The Jared Cast.
So it begins.
Hello, and welcome back to what?
I'm starting this one. Oh no, you.
What?
No, wait. My bad.
Nah, leave this in. Welcome back to Both of Us Are a Dumbass. I was gonna say half of us, but thanks for the correction.
I'm so glad you stopped me because I was literally just about to start singing the cha-cha slide.
We'll finish the episode with it. I'll make you do that.
No, we're good.
Yeah, welcome back to We're Both Fucking Idiots. I am one of your idiots, Jared, with me, as always. Not as always now, because I abandoned you guys for an episode. Other Jared, Brown Jared Onkanan. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling brown, feeling good, feeling excited to talk about some movies.
Good.
And yeah, I'm even more stoked to see our movies 2 episodes from now.
Yeah.
So
we're already past these episodes. We're looking to the future real hard because we got some good shit coming down the pipe. Yeah, today we're talking Cha-Cha Real Smooth. We're talking Spiderhead, 2 brand new streaming releases. The reason I'm an idiot was because last episode I swore up and down that Cha-Cha Real Smooth was the same director as Coda, but it's not. It's not even close. There's zero relation to the movies whatsoever, besides both being on Apple TV and personal family dramas, I guess. So yeah, sorry about that. Sorry if you went and told all your friends about that. But we've got some good stuff. 2 very different movies that have nothing to do with each other besides release date and besides my excitement to talk about them today. But before we do,
we got a fun top 5. It's we're doing top 5 parties in movies because Cha-Cha Real Smooth is pretty much just all about parties. It's, the protagonist has to his job is to get the party started, literally. So we I don't know how you approached your list. I tried to pick parties. Not necessarily. I tried to start like, okay, I'm only going to do parties that I would go to.
Yeah,
and
my
then
list does not hit that mark.
and then I gave up because it was very difficult to find parties that I would go to in these movies.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing about me. I've been known to party. I have partied.
I've dabbled in parties.
Some have even said I'm the life of the party. But I don't really party hard. I don't go to parties and party on the weekends and stuff. That's not me. I enjoy a good kickback. I enjoy a good barbecue. I enjoy a good festival. But parties, house parties, So I chose 3 that I would personally go to, and then 2 that I just like in the movie.
Gotcha.
My number 5. Do you mind if I start, or do you want to start?
Yeah, I would love for you to start.
Cool. My number 5 is a holiday-themed one. It is the Christmas feast in the Muppet Christmas Carol, because
Oh yeah,
because Michael Caine eating turkey with the Muppets is just, it warms my heart so much. Also, this movie is very special because it's the best Christmas Carol movie, and actually word for if you take it text versus text, it's the most accurate adaptation of the film because they actually write Grover, or not Grover, Gonzo in as Charles Dickens. So he has the narration in there.
Okay, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a great fucking movie, and one that just totally slipped my mind. So good on ya. And hopefully I can do the same with my list. I didn't do parties I would go to. I just did scenes that I love that take place at parties, pretty much.
Okay, that's good.
And so I played it pretty straight, but as always, I have to be a little shenanigator. And right off the bat, my number 5 isn't really a party. Technically, it kind of is. It's just in a different setting because it takes place in a club. Specifically, the entire episode of this takes place in a club. That's season 1, episode 8 of Atlanta.
Yes.
The Club is what it's called, which is still like maybe the funniest episode of Atlanta for me. That might be a hot take. I'd have to go back and rewatch it all, but it's definitely up there. And it honestly, it just everything I hate about parties and clubs, he goes through, and that's why I love it so much, and that's why I wanted it on the list. To be honest, it's just overrated and loud, and kind of sucks every time. And so number 5 is the entire episode 8 of season 1 of Atlanta.
So good, so good. The rejection of the girl at the very end of the night, the freaking the payoff with the invisible car.
The secret wall that the club owner uses. Everything.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's so good. That's so good. Okay. My number 4 is also from a kids movie. This is another one that I would go to. It's the opening Halloween parade in The Nightmare Before Christmas. I love the song. It's a classic song for a reason. I love the aesthetic of the pumpkin on fire, just kind of going like a drug dealership type thing, or not a car dealership type thing, and then just the I would go all out for that. I love Halloween, and I love that movie.
Hell yeah. A great pick. Another solid choice. I love the holiday themes you've got going already. My number 4 is from a movie that we also both love. It's very near and dear. I think we both would insta mark it a 10, and not discounting this scene. It's the party scene where Scott hits on Ramona Flowers.
I knew this would be on your list.
Versus the world. The Pac-Man line is legendary. All the side characters have hilarious bits in here too. The desperation comes off immediately. It's hilarious. It's classic Edgar Wright, and I love it. It's just a great fucking scene.
Yeah, the close-up of Aubrey Plaza. Scott, I forbid you to date Ramona.
Yeah, the lighting cue for that shot too is 10 out of 10.
Amazing. The like creepy door screech when they show Kim staring at him, giving him the death stare. I love it. My number 3 is very different. Different age group as well. It's a high school party. This is not a party that I would go to, even in high school.
I hope not now.
Man, I would be so cool at these high school parties, man.
You would. You'd be the most popular kid there.
But I never got invited when I was in high school. No, I'm just kidding. But the Rager at Bogey Lowenstein's house in 10 Things I Hate About You had to make this list. It's so cringe, and like the I just love cringing at the whole entire party. The rejection of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, the horrible dance by Julia Stiles that's really like not sexy anymore. Like it's very dated. The song choices are horrible. But if Heath Ledger's there, I'm still gonna show up. So
True.
it made my list.
Yeah, the life of the party. Great pick. My number 3 is a hard pivot from my last two, because it's Kubrick's finale film, Eyes Wide Shut, The Cult Party.
Horrible.
Yeah. This scene is a lot to take in. It's creepy as fuck. It's off-putting as hell. The clothed people dancing with naked people is a crazy move. The close-ups of the masks gets me every time. Honestly, I love the score for this scene though. Just the single like super disjointed piano, fucking gets me going. This makes it for like sarcastic and non-sarcastic reasons.
Yeah.
And that's a great scene if it could do that.
Definitely. See you Saturday, Tom Cruise. Number two. My number two is a party of a similar nature, but very different vibe. It's the party at Sid Shattuck's in The Nice Guys. You got a gunfight, mermaids, a movie viewing with kids in the crowd. You got a dead body. You got dropping a dead body on another party.
Yeah.
You got a car chase. You got everything at this party.
What else would you need?
Oh, I don't know. Some 70s music. Oh, wait, they have that too. Yeah, man. I love The Nice Guys, one of my favorite buddy comedies of all time. And this whole sequence really is one of my favorites.
Yeah. Oh, I can't believe I forgot about that one. It definitely would have made my list somewhere on here. So good job. My number two comes from a movie that I am incredibly so on. I hope the audience is watching that. I'm incredibly so on. But I love this scene. I think it's an incredible character introduction. Baz Luhrmann in general, I'm kind of 50-50 split on. But I think with the party / introduction to Jay Gatsby in The Great Gatsby, it's everything I love about Luhrmann. It's the style, the extravagance. It's shot beautifully. Everybody's like in motion. Colors are flying everywhere. Tobey Maguire's being awkward. It's got everything I wanted. But the reveal of Gatsby is expected because everybody knows the story, and the cast is such star power. But it's executed in a fantastic way. I absolutely love it. I think it's the best scene in that movie for me. So good on ya.
I agree. It's the best scene in the movie. Is that also? Do they play the Adele song in there? That little party never killed nobody.
Yeah. Is that Adele?
I thought it was Adele. I could be
I
wrong.
don't think that's Adele. Which should be cringe because the song is cringe, but honestly, it still looks like a good time.
It is Fergie. Never mind.
Okay, I was like, that doesn't seem like an Adele song at all.
It is. Not even close.
No. I wouldn't have guessed Fergie either. I would have guessed like early Elle Goulding or something.
Yeah. A bop in its own right. That scene. My number one isn't on screen for very long, but I have a hot take, and this is related to my hot take. It's also the last one that I would go the last one on the list that I would go to in real life, because my hot take is that I think remarriages and vow renewals are better than weddings because everybody's way more relaxed, everybody's way more chill, there's no like, if you're a part of the ceremony, nobody's gonna like be on you about the schedule and everything. Like they're just kind of chilling and dancing and eating. Most importantly, the eating. So I picked Carl and Inez's remarriage ceremony at the end of Chef. I think the food at that remarriage ceremony must be amazing. Because you spend the whole movie, they don't show a whole lot of it, but you spend the whole movie knowing like this character and knowing that he's the best of the best and that he goes through this whole journey of experimenting with different foods, excuse me, all across the country. So I would just love to go to this party for this bread, man.
Yeah, honestly, I would kill for an invite to that shit. I've never been to a wedding or a vow renewal / re-wedding, so I have no input on the hot take. But I have input on the scene, and it's fucking
Even a
fantastic.
wedding? Really?
No, I was supposed to be a best man in the first wedding I was going to, and then COVID canceled it. So yeah, I still have yet to pop my cherry, crossing my fingers. That phrase still applies, right? Anyway, my number one is I don't know, from a maybe unexpected movie to show up in this list. And that's La La Land. Come springtime, there's a little pool party, and I love this scene. You get the most obnoxious Hollywood type writer to kick it off, who's like, "Yeah, I've been creating a lot of buzz," and then she makes Ryan Gosling play "Flock of Seagulls" on a keytar, which he also walks around with the whole time, trying to be taken seriously. But Emma Stone just shines in this in this scene and in this character. Her charisma's off the charts. She's hilarious, even like non-verbally, like her body language, the physical humor in this is great. It's just a fantastic scene. I just love it.
Yeah, that's a brilliant pick. I've totally forgot about it. Holy shit. Yeah, great pick.
Thank
I'm
you,
jealous.
sir. Yeah, well, we can't all be as great as I. You know who else can't be as great as I? Miles Teller. Just kidding. Love you, Miles. Just shooting shots immediately because we're talking Spiderhead. His second partner up with director. Pause while I look up the right movie. Yeah, Kaczynski. Second movie of the year, obviously. If you haven't heard of a little indie movie called Top Gun Maverick, which I still have not seen. I almost went to the theater to watch it, even though I haven't seen the first one, but I didn't, and I watched Bob's Burgers instead, and I do not regret that choice. But second pairing up, joined by Chris Hemsworth, Tess Hobbrick, and Journey Smollett. Based off a short story about prisoners going and getting drugs tested on them, which makes them feel bad, almost as bad as this person feels in our installment of Jared reads poorly written reviews of movies that we're watching because it's funny and it makes them laugh and stuff. This installment, right off the bat, is beautiful. A man who needs no introduction gave it a 1 out of 10, saying, "Another worst film, talking too much and full of annoying overuse scene, bored to freaking death." And also, if you don't know, this is a spoiler-filled podcast, and it's kicking off right now. This film start with a man bean telling joke and he laughing at scene. As turn out, the film is about convict Jeff need to escape from villain Amnesty, who held him in a research subject. Entire film full of boring conversation and annoying overuse scene, such as overuse of the walking scene, overuse of the searching scene, overuse of the arguing scene, overuse of the calling names scene, overuse of the staring scene, overuse of the eating scene, overuse of the drinking scene, overuse of the flashback scene, overuse of the blackout scene, overuse of the long angle scenery scene. I knew I wouldn't be able to hold it together at scenery scene. Overuse of the monitoring scene, overuse of the talking into a microphone scene, overuse of the car driving on the road scene, overuse of the cursing scene, overuse of the manipulate medication dose scene. Make the film unwatchable. At the end, Amnesty is killed by plane crash. Jeff escape from research facility at the very end. That's it. Wasting time to watch.
Oh my god.
This man has like 1,400 reviews. And everyone I've read is listing the scenes.
Wait. Oh my god. Mr. Chow.
We need to do an episode where we do movies that he gave a 10, because there are positive reviews on his profile. I think that would be a great time. But today is not that day. I can pull it up. He's like, I've went to his profile so much that I've like got it bookmarked if I hit K. Filter by. Man, my computer sucks. Rated 10 stars. He gave Jurassic World a 6.
That's good.
Aquaman, Hellboy, Triple Threat, Age of Ultron, War of the Planet of the Apes, Justice League, Civil War.
I agree with some of those.
Those are the 7 out of 1,209.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah.
I love this guy.
Me too. Dream guest. Anyways, Spiderhead. I already introduced the movie, and I didn't like it. I thought it wasn't good. I'm just gonna dive in. Yeah, like I don't know. The first act is the best act for sure. The main premise is interesting, and I liked it, but it's not original. Like that's the part that they yoinked from the short story. I think the performances are decent enough. Miles Teller carries his weight. I think the females in the movie outperform him, and I think Chris Hemsworth outperforms him as well. But I think he holds his own enough. But the film just like loses what it was good at. I think it was best at like the visual stimulation of the drugs, I guess. Like when they take the drugs that make the world look beautiful, the way they shoot it is great. The cinematography in this movie is actually pretty damn good. But like the pain drugs, I really enjoyed. The performances that came out of that and the way they showed it to the audience visually, I think was the strongest aspect of the film. And then they immediately throw it away and don't really hit it as hard as I would have liked. The third act and escape is unearned action nonstop. That the choreography was pretty bad for me. This movie's like kind of fucked up and doesn't earn those moments. For example, when they drug people into having sex and then are like doing a stoner comedy scene immediately after to relieve the tension. I thought that was a weird move. And I don't know. It takes very dark themes and doesn't hit them as emotionally as they needed to. Or if you're going for like a dark comedy, they didn't hit that quite. And so it just kind of sits in this weird pocket of boredom and lightweight disgust for me. There were times I enjoyed it, but for the most part, it kind of just fell incredibly flat for me. And it made me less inclined to see Top Gun, if I'm being honest. So I'll give it a 3 out of 10.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. I think there are some cool like shots that are just good in terms of in terms of composition. I think the concept isn't really it just really isn't that interesting to me. You know, I'm very tired of dystopias, and so this one didn't do much to break that mold. You know, a lot of the big themes in here are about regret and forgiveness and self acceptance and and also drug dependence. And I find it weird though, because like they the whole thing is like, right, this guy has no right to choose who gets forgiven and who gets not forgiven, who gets the kind of absolved, and who gets to self accept themselves for the bad things that they've done. And then the movie does the same exact thing, right? Only if
Yeah.
only two prisoners escape versus everybody else. So it's like, what's the what are you trying to say here? And like, you know, I think it would have been if they took the questions that they had at the beginning of the movie and like really asked them and really challenged them and really pushed them in a way that was I think that would have made the movie a lot more interesting, right? Like the idea, can you redeem yourself after can you move on after doing something horrible to another person, right? That would have been way better, I think, if the
Yeah.
characters were murderers, or if the characters had done something to permanently scar someone else. Um, you know, with manslaughter, it's like, yes, this is bad, they did bad things, but it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like it's too easy, it doesn't challenge the how much I like Jeff and Lizzie. um, Same thing with Steve, I think. You know, you have a really interesting idea of a guy, but I never get to see I never get to see a connection between his trauma and his relationship with Jeff, and so it's never, I don't know, like they talk about it, but that's it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I gave it a 4.8 because I think the performances are very physically good. Like I think they really do a good job of like using especially Miles Teller, Journey Smollett, and Chris Hemsworth. I think they do a really good, and Tess Halbrick as Heather. I think they all do a really good job of kind of doing scenes that are pretty nonsense, drug trippy scenes that, you know, aren't well written, but I think they still feel believable because I can see the chemicals working in their brain. I can see the shifts in their stuff, and so it was fun to watch them at least. Um, I think Chris Hemsworth definitely needed like an extra 6 months on that accent. I think I I love him as an actor. I don't blame him at all. But he had time to work on his Thor voice, you know, and so the difference here is astronomical. It's not great at all. Um, Joseph Kosinski as a director, I'm hit or miss on because I love Tron Legacy. I love Tron Legacy. I've seen that 4 times. I love Top Gun Maverick. I mentioned it last episode. It's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. But this movie and Oblivion, I didn't like Oblivion. Um, they're not. It's very hollow. And so I think it very much depends on the script. And so that's most of where my disappointment lies. Not so much with the actors and with the director, but with the script itself. Because Reese and Wernick are very famously, you know, the writers of Zombieland and Deadpool. Like they're used to dealing with death in a darkly comedic way, and death and punishment and kind of self-loathing. They're used to those themes and they're used to those ideas, and so why like it just didn't work here. Nothing really came together in a way that was cathartic, or a way that was the way that could contain any like real beauty, which is a bummer.
Yeah, yeah, and I think they're just the wrong writers for the job. Like they're incredibly talented. Both of us love Zombieland and Deadpool, but this I don't think should be played comedically at all. I think you need to go heavy-handed with it. I think you need to go like full thriller, basically. Unfortunately, you can't use names like Dark and Flocks if you're playing it straight, but you lose out on that ridiculousness. But I think they should have just played it straight because you have, like you said, some incredibly heavy themes. Drug dependence. You have the morality of like for-profit prisons. You have forgiveness of manslaughter to straight up homicide to whatever other crimes people have committed to get in this place, and the morality of like how we deal with that and punish them and the recovery process as an inmate. But instead, you just get this weird, like half goofy, half serious hodgepodge of just chaos. And then what they do with that is, I mentioned liking the first act, and I don't know if you feel the same way, where it felt a little more show don't tell than the second and third, but in toward the end of the film, they just straight up are explaining things like through dialogue. They just straight go, "Oh, this is about to happen, and then this is gonna happen, and then we're gonna do this." And I'm just, I don't know. For such talent on screen, you don't need to resort to just that. You don't need that. Did you find anything similar along those lines? Are you smelling what I'm stepping in there?
I am. Like I said, I didn't even really connect with the concept in the first place, so I didn't. I wasn't even really into it with the writing. I was kind of hoping that the payoff would sell the first act for me. I think tonally the first act is like it works okay,
Yeah.
because there's like mystery in it, and the movie raises so many questions, but the characters are going about their day so casually that it feels okay, that it feels that it feels weird and off kilter, and so you want to learn more. So I like that about it. But that's pretty much all my feelings about the first act. I don't really care for it.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned it feeling different tonally. Can you speak on that tonal shift that it, because it does it a couple times throughout the movie, I think.
Yeah. Well, during the first test of the love drug, the N40,
Hmm.
it's it's weird and it's crazy and but it's like they're still kind of I don't know how to say it, like they're that's when you start to get a feel of the rules of the place, right? Like you can only inject them if they acknowledge
Hmm.
that everybody needs consent,
Yeah,
and then
which
they
isn't
break it.
true
Yeah, it isn't.
immediately.
It isn't true. We find out it's not true in the end, but it's it's a weird, interesting thing, and I think that scene actually does work because of Miles Teller's performance, right? Because we just find out about the car crash right before that, and so
Hmm.
he's playing that in his head while this is going on, and so I like that. I like that. It's dark and silly, and I wish the movie carried on that way, but
Yeah,
it didn't. And and it is jarring to see, um, to see like a sexual scene like that, be really really intense and really really um, unusual. So why does the movie have to keep going up and down and up and down in terms of like shock, in terms
yeah.
of like, because I appreciate a good shock thriller, I appreciate a
Hmm.
good psychological thriller, but the movie keeps going back and forth about like meditating on forgiveness and meditating on and then doing that thing that it did in that first N40 scene.
Yeah. Yeah, and the movie does do shock well a couple times. Like the suicide scene immediately jumps out when you said that word. Like it was intense. I think her performance carried it to a level that it needed to go to.
Yeah.
Um, And then immediately they do that stoner comedy scene I mentioned. Like the next scene is literally like, oh, you're grieving because this person we chemically made you fall in love with committed suicide for something you told us not to do because you knew this was going to happen. You want to get a little high. Like it's just weird. It's just not the total shifts you need. And then along with the writing, there's a lot of twists and turns in this movie, and none of which felt surprising in the slightest. I don't know if you felt the same, but I find it hard to believe if you weren't predicting that Chris Hemsworth was the real puppet master of the whole thing and stuff like that. That was just so obviously there. But they played it as if it was gonna be some big shock. I don't know. I was just real let down by those.
Yeah, the biggest letdowns for me were the past trauma things between Lizzie and Jeff. Like, I'm like, okay, so there's something else that they're not telling us. What are they not telling us?
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends up being like not even that bad. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, whatever. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's all over the place. I don't know. I don't even really have a lot to say about this movie. Do you have more in your notes you want to get into? I just wanted to say how much I hated it.
Do you think that this that this sci-fi concept could be good?
I think so. But I think you'd have to get like the Black Mirror team behind it and do like an episode, not like a 2-hour thing. I think it needed to stay short form. I don't know when the short story was written, but it feels dated. Like if you wrote and came out with this today, people would be like, I get what you're going for with the concept, but it's been played out. Like we know the morality of everything you're touching on here already. It's been said before. So I think keeping it the short term and like going dark with it would be beneficial. And I do think there could be a good episode or movie in here. I just think it's the almost entirely wrong team for it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like quickly skimming over the original synopsis, and I'm like, this is already like better because it ends pretty soon after Heather's death. Escape from Spiderhead came out in 2010 in the New Yorker.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have guessed like 90s at the latest. I was gonna say like 70s, honestly.
Yeah, it does
even
have
by
kind of
2010, it's kind of played out.
Yeah. It's got a kind of Twilight Zone-y feel to it.
Yeah,
but it's not nearly as good or as punchy as those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One thing that I did see. Oh, sorry.
No, go.
One thing that I did see pretty positive when I was looking to see if I was the only crazy person who didn't like this movie, everybody was complimenting the soundtrack, and I agree with them. I think at times it felt a little hammy, especially the beginning and end. But I think some of the moments it played well. Based off your facial reaction, I think you disagree. But what'd you think of the soundtrack?
Ever since Kingsman came out, everybody puts a pop song over a violent scene, and they think they're so freaking clever. I'm so tired of it already. I'm so tired of it. Stop. Don't do music. Let us hear the sound effects. Let us hear people's faces scraping against concrete. Let us hear it. Give us some impact in your rated R movie.
True.
It's dumb.
Totally reasonable. Good song choices, but the way they use it.
Yeah, no, okay, they are great songs.
but the timing is.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite scenes?
Um, the scene where he and Heather fall in love, I enjoyed. I think it's some of the best performances. Journey Smollett being afraid of a stapler was a good example of like big dramatic performance, kind of comedic reveal that's like enough for the audience to get it. And so I think it was well executed there. Um, that's about it. That might be where the list ends.
Yeah. Um, I have the Heather death. I have actually I like Jeff's flashback. I think the effect of him like flying out of the car looks really
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
It was
and
like
the-
it looked like the best like video game cinematics. Like it had that kind of weird ragdolly like CG quality to it, but you're like, okay,
Yeah.
like that actually they actually kind of pulled it off.
Yeah, yeah. And then I had the like Jeff and Lizzie just eating dinner and laughing together. I just thought that was like even though nothing happened and Lizzie is very underwritten.
Yeah.
I think they had a good screen presence and a good connection as actors.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, if you want to watch the movie, it's on Netflix. Despite our spoilers and our warnings, feel free. Yeah, it's there. You can find it there. Let's move on.
Yeah, man. Cha-cha real smooth.
Cha cha. Do you want to whip out your singing now, or
No,
wait
no,
till the
we're-
finale?
We're good.
I'm just gonna keep guilting you into. You're supposed to yes and me, dude.
No, and let's start the review.
And let's not, because first we have another poorly written review of movies that we're watching because it's funny and it makes me laugh and stuff. This one comes from Miriam AF, giving it a 1 out of 10, saying it's an empty movie. And this one, I don't know. It's not the best review I found, but I have to include one. I'm contractually obligated. So they said, what was the goal of this movie? They showed nothing to the lead character. He loves elderly women since he was 10 years old. That line's great, though. He is a bipolar mother. The movie doesn't address the issue. He falls for a mother with an autistic daughter. The movies don't address the autism. This mother is engaged, but makes an extra sexual relationship with his 20-year-old boy. And they show many Jewish parties. At the end, nothing but a hollow movie.
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah. He loves elderly women. Sorry, Dakota Johnson. It might be time to pull out that 401k.
Nah, she's still living off of 50 Shades money. She's good.
True.
Yeah, man, this was cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Agreed. End of the episode. Roll credits.
The movie Cha Cha Real Smooth follows Cooper Rafe's character, a young man named Andrew, fresh out of college, and Dakota Johnson playing Dakota Johnson's character Domino, a single mother. The movie is kind of it's about figuring out your life when you're young and you have no purpose and you're kind of drifting. We've seen a couple movies. We reviewed. This is the third movie that we've reviewed like this on the podcast.
Big streak of this.
Yeah. That and The Graduate. And I think I just have no. I think it's a problem with me in this genre. Like I just have no sympathy for these people because they're going through exactly what I'm going through, and I don't need a movie to freaking talk about it. But that being said, I think this is a remarkable effort for a second feature by someone who's my age. I think that especially the directing is really, really cool in a lot of these scenes, especially in the one-on-one scenes with Cooper Raiff and Vanessa Burkhardt, who plays Lola, an autistic teenager. And yeah, it's really, really, those scenes are really, really like that's where the magic is, you know. And I really appreciate those scenes. I think I watched the interview when it premiered at the panel when it premiered at South by, and those were the scenes that the audience members connected with, and they asked the most questions about those scenes. I think in a 28-minute interview there were at least 5 questions about that. So I've never seen Dakota Johnson do like falter especially in this phase of her career, since leaving the franchise, that big franchise, and so she's been absolutely killing it consistently in the indie world, and I think she's good in every scene that she's in here. I was surprised to see Leslie Mann and Brad Garrett. I wish I had more of them, especially Brad Garrett. He's only in like 3 scenes. I was surprised to see Esty Haim working on this score. I listened to it after the fact, and it was okay, but I'm excited that she's branching out into other different types of music and working with a new collaborator. Other than that, I think the movie has an editing problem, but before I go into depth with that, I'll just leave with the score 6.6. I like it. I think it's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so far we're 2 for 2 on the day with our thoughts on the movie. I tend to like these movies and these types of movies a bit more than you do, and that stays true with this one. I think there is some charm to it. However, I don't think Cooper Raiff is as charming as he thinks he is. I don't think the charisma was quite there to carry being so center stage of this movie. He also looks way too old for the character, but that's just nitpicky stuff. I think, like you said, Dakota Johnson kills it in this movie. I think she's fantastic. I think her character is underwritten. She doesn't feel alive. She just kind of feels like a person, like just like a NPC, I guess. She just feels there. But when she is on screen, she brings as much as she could out of that character. I think Lola steals the show, man. I think who played her, Vanessa Burghardt. I think she's the best part of this movie. I think she absolutely killed it. Plus, they used an actual autistic or an actor with autism to play that character. And I think that's cool, and I think we need more of that. So hats off to her. I think it excels in its comedic aspects on Cooper's part, at least. I think he holds his weight in the comedic scenes. His banter with Greg was the highlights of the movie. But I think his dramatic chops weren't quite there. When, like, for example, when he's moping in his bed and yelling at his younger brother. I felt bad for the younger brother because of what was being said, but it wasn't because of Cooper's performance. It was because of the brother's performance. And so I don't think he quite held his own. But he's wearing a lot of hats in this, so I don't blame him. I agree the direction was good. I agree the editing wasn't that good. Overall, it was likable, but not lovable. I gave it a flat 7 across the board. I think it's a fine movie. I don't regret watching it. I regret not knowing who directed it at first, but I don't regret watching it. And I don't think it's worth Apple buying for $15 million. I think that's a ridiculous price tag.
Did they really?
Yeah, that's how much they paid for this.
Sheesh. Well, good for Dakota Johnson's production company.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think the title means to you, and um, how does it factor into the overall message of the movie, or just a theme in the movie?
Uh, he's fucking childish. I don't know. Like I didn't take much meaning from the title or put any real thought into it besides it just being a song that I knew would show up in the movie at some point. But I guess if I had to pull something out of my ass, the song is giving directions. But when it's the cha cha real smooth part of the song, you don't. You're just freestyling, and that's kind of the placement he is in life. Is that just like dancing around, not knowing where to go or what the fuck to do with his hands? And that's kind of just his character's placement as a 22-year-old fresh graduate who has a cheating girlfriend and is also cheating on her, and is just aimless.
Yeah, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Honestly, like the idea of learning to dance by yourself is life. It's adulthood. It's what happens after your every single aspect of your life, from kindergarten to your last year of college, to graduation day of college, is it's structured by someone else. It's structured by your parents. It's structured by your instructors or teachers, by the community of adults that you're a part of, by your religion. So, uh, seeing a guy, seeing Andrew like um, try to kind of relearn everything, relearn how to talk to how to talk to people, how to talk to women, um, how to what kind of frame to put his parents in, what kind of perspective to take on them. Like how that's the movie, and I think it's actually pretty good. Like I think for someone who's as young as he is to ask these questions of the audience and to really get the audience into that experience, I think is really really interesting and cool um, and it's cool that he has fun with it. It's cool that he's able to laugh at himself. Um, so much of the film's comedy is based on Andrew's kind of pathetic nature as a dude who is a loser. And you know, yeah, I agree with you. Um, uh, I know we both had issues with the editing. What were yours? Did you have notes on those?
Um, I didn't take a lot of notes on the editing itself, but it was just I don't know. It was a lot of just shot reverse shot when people are talking for like 90% of the dialogue scenes. I think it was better during like the party scenes or some of the montage of like him enjoying himself or that. But yeah, everything else just you felt the editing. Like you could feel like here they're about to start talking, so we're gonna face them or insert of a hamster when it's most predictable to happen. And so it just felt like if you had a AI algorithm take the average editing in every movie and then spit it out onto the cutting room floor here, that's what you got. There was no human touch to it. There was no invisibility, and if it was visible, which is fine, you don't have to be invisible with your editing. But if you're purposeful with it, it shouldn't be boring when we can feel the cuts, you know.
Definitely. Yeah, I 100% agree. I'm not a big fan at all, but because you know there are a handful of moments that are really awkward and painful and sad and vulnerable, and I wish he would just sit in the beauty of
Yeah,
those moments.
just hold on that
Um,
shit.
it, but instead we cut away. Like you know, there's a couple scenes with his mom where I felt like, man, this is a really cool moment because she's trying to figure out how to let him go, and he's trying to figure out how to tell her to let him go, and
Hmm.
nothing. It just immediately next scene. We got all the
Yeah.
information out, and so yeah, like you said, like it's all about a lot of these scenes are there for information. They're not there um, for emotion. Um,
Yeah, and it's not even like the dramatic scenes. Like some of the comedic scenes are the same. Like the after the fist fight in the bar mitzvah when they're all in the car, they start and they hold on this like cool medium wide with like the parents, and then everybody's like crunched up in the back seat, and it's a funny shot that's like playing comedically with the dialogue that's happening, and they hold on it at first for like the first bits of the banter, and then from there it's like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, just hold on the funny, like cramped shot. Like it was just
yeah,
weird and quirky, and I liked it, but uh, they wouldn't even give me that.
yeah. Like even Brad Garrett's close up at the very end of that scene. Like I wrote that down. Um, that's just the first time he like smiles in the movie. Like give me
Yeah,
three
and
more
maybe the
seconds.
only one.
Yeah, that like give me 3 more seconds of that smile, man. And
Yeah.
like I also I wish there was more payoff with Andrew and stepdad Greg. Um,
Hmm.
I don't need a stepdad and a stepson to become best friends by the end of the movie, but
Yeah.
at least have them reach an understanding and
Hmm.
show me that they have reached the understanding.
Yeah, especially because I made such a point about the relationship the whole time. Every time he's like, "Ah, fuck you, Greg," and like he pulls his mother aside, is like, "You really like this guy? Is he good for you?" And you get the payoff of the son admitting like, "I don't like him," but he's like right for mom. Um, but I don't get that Andrew comes to that conclusion at all. Um, and it just feels like they're like, oh yeah, this thing we addressed, we have to throw it in. Same with the first kiss. Like they're like, oh yeah, we talked about this the whole time, we have to have something here.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Any more notes about Domino?
Great name for a character. I don't know why, I really like that name.
Yeah,
I wish she had more agency. I think having her turn into the character who's like, look, man, like we made a mistake. You just need to get your shit together. Go be a 20-year-old instead of having the love story. It did feel like intentionally manipulative on the filmmaker's behalf. They kind of lean into it pretty hard so they can have that like, ooh, she's rejected him, and like the husband's not gonna shoot him in the car. Um, but I don't know. I think I just would have liked to see her more well rounded because she doesn't learn anything from what happened. She kind of just exists to partner up with Andrew instead of like go through her own journey. She doesn't learn anything of how to care for her child from Andrew, which he does so well. Not that she was a bad mom in the movie, but he doesn't teach her that. The affair doesn't teach her anything really. Like nothing. There's no journey for her. Is really my big point.
yeah. And I honestly think they could have cut the whole thing out with Macy, his friend from high
Hmm.
school. Like
Yeah.
they could have cut that whole thing out and replaced it with if they're worried about space in a 107-minute movie, like that's a perfect place to put it.
Hmm.
To flesh out a character that's so key to understanding the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, and,
Absolutely.
yeah, I did appreciate that the character wasn't um, like a Mrs. Robinson.
Yeah.
Um,
True.
like it did feel like uh, still more modern and still like a better characterization, at least, even if it is a shallow
Hmm.
one. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It is still positive. It is still yeah. Um, and then any more notes about Lola?
Um. Not really. I think she just did a incredible job. I think it was nice that they, like Andrew's character, they don't talk down to her. They don't treat her as inferior as a lot of films that deal with mental disabilities do. It felt fair to her and people with autism and everything. And so I just really like how they handled their character. It could have been, oh, we're gonna put this in for the festival circuit. Look at us, we're acknowledging disability. Like it could have been exploitative, borderline, but it wasn't. It was genuine, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah. No simple Jack for this movie.
No.
Um, yeah, like there are so many like fun little moments that I don't have a lot of experience with people on the spectrum. I don't know a lot of people, but I did have I still do have cousins that have varying degrees of autism and uh, like behavior wise, like it felt pretty on point. It felt like at least the way she was represented in the movie, at least the way people talked to her in the movie, and uh, I really loved this one scene where oh, it was when she was in her room by herself and she was just enjoying the silence of the room, or
Yeah.
the sound of a quiet room or something like that. And she like waves around her arms around a lot, and
Hmm.
like a lot of autistic people that I saw in high school and that I saw on college campuses and that I saw on uh, just in my life do that, and some of them have to suppress it, or they feel like they need to suppress it because of their social surroundings. And so it was cool to see her, like, I don't know, get that little moment to let go and not suppress the that
Yeah.
little expressive movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did. There's always a cliche with portrayals of people with autism about like them being geniuses, and this
Hmm.
movie like teetered on it, but it never went over the edge too, which was nice. Like when she kicked his ass in every game they played, like Bananagrams just fucking blew him out of the water. It was played more like at his expense for being stupid rather than like, oh, look at this like genius like Bananagrams prophet over here, and so I thought that felt very genuine too.
Yeah, and there were a few scenes where she was like, "I do not know what that is,"
Hmm.
and I think she just feels at home with puzzles, and
Yeah,
that's a part of her character. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
Favorite scenes?
Let's do it. Honestly, every bar or bat mitzvah in this movie was fantastic. The production design was great for all of them. It was nice to see that shine. But the fist fight breaking out, I think, was the most unexpected and chaotic. So I liked that. I liked the before he has the job, when he's getting everybody to go and dance, and he's going like literally table to table, persuading people. That's when I fell in love with the character the most. I think that's when he was at his most charming. He had good banter. You could tell it was like he's just genuinely good with kids, and it's not some weird creepy movie that's gonna take a big twist in half an hour. It was nice to see like a great character uh, be created in those moments. Um, the final talk with Domino in the car was very sweet. I think everything after that was meh. But I think that
Right.
was a nice finale. Everything post that, I was like, just roll the credits. We get it. He's got a kiss. The family's gonna get resolved. Like blah, blah, blah. Except the him watching Lola walk to Domino's car was also sweet. I give him that, but everything else in that last 10 minutes, I was like, meh. Um, the think that's it. I think that might be all I got. I forgot to write down favorite scenes for all of the movies that we're talking about today. Those are the standouts for me.
Yeah. I had a couple of those as well. I think I like the scene when she finally like lets him scratch her back. I thought that was really sweet. I like the scene in the bathroom with them buying T-shirts for Domino, and then they all walk out with T-shirts on. I thought that was very nice and very cool.
Maybe the best cut in the movie was the cut to the slow motion shot of them like all wearing the matching T-shirt.
It's very good. It's very good. I also, I love the fist fight as well. I love the aftermath of the fist fight in the car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest laughs for me was him screwing up the interview. I just thought that was so good at the very end.
No, pretty sure it's ASL.
It's I thought that was perfect. But yeah,
I do hate that he got the job though. Like I don't know. I had forgotten about it. I didn't need that. I hate that the dude called him back because he should not have. He lied about his dad having ALS after getting the acronym wrong. You just don't get the job there.
Honestly, the movie would be a 7-point-something if he ended up working at the food stand right next to the hot dog on a stick place.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, overall, I think it was just not the best one of these movies we've seen. He's not as lovable as what's her face and worst person in the world, and it's not as compelling as The Graduate. But it was still an enjoyable movie. I feel like I was too negative this. Spiderhead got me in the negatives for this. Maybe I was too harsh compared to my actual feelings, but I did enjoy the movie overall. I think it was a nice watch.
Yeah, same. I feel positively about it. I would be willing to watch it again. And you can watch it on Apple TV Plus. Alrighty, folks. Anything else you want to leave the people with, Joe?
No, not at all.
Sweet. Alrighty, folks. We love you. Goodbye.